This amazing thing we have right here is called a verbal concordance and was handwritten near Paris circa the 1270s. So its existence alone is reason enough for us to be impressed. This manuscript was amazing even in its own time. A verbal concordance allowed a reader to find all of the places and ways a word was used in Scripture, a revolutionary concept. Here's how it worked. First, the words are alphabetized, a system not invented by the concordance, but used to great effect here. This page contains D's, and we'll take as our example Decem, or 10. By this point, the Bible had been divided into books, Genesis, Exodus, etc., and also, more recently, chapters, which this concordance takes advantage of. While verses within chapters would not come for several centuries, this book anticipates that further breaking down of Scripture by making its own system, dividing the chapters into sevenths, each designated with the letter of the alphabet A to G. So the first appearance of Decem is Genesis chapter 18, verse D, followed by a smidge of context to let the theologian know how it's used. Non delebo propter Decem. This is God saying, I will not destroy a city on account of 10 people are there. And it's just the right amount of context for people who know the Bible. The next one, below, still in Genesis, just has the chapter 24 and location because the book is above. This concerns 10 camels from a herd. And here is Exodus 26. And here is Deuteronomy 4, followed by Deuteronomy 10, and the most consequential use of the number in the Old Testament, the writing of the Ten Commandments. The verbal concordance does this very thing for something like 11,000 different words. The first concordance was produced at the Dominican house of Saint Jacques in Paris, likely in the 1230s. It was small, meant for use locally, and didn't contain any of the helpful context seen here, just the locations. The second concordance was a classic overcorrection, where the first one was skimpy on details, the second was prolix, putting words in their larger scriptural context, and therefore it was enormous and impractical. What we have here is the third, the Goldilocks of 13th century verbal concordances, just the right amount of context. You will have noted, of course, that though this looks and reads like a printed book, I mentioned that it was handwritten. That's because this manuscript predates European printing by almost 2 centuries. So how was it distributed? Well, Paris in the 13th century had enough wealthy literate to be able to support the livelihoods of people who would produce such a manuscript. So it had a flourishing commercial book trade. To create this, someone would have rented from a stationer, a bookseller, an exemplar, and then copied it. Interestingly, the exemplar for this concordance was subdivided into picia, or smaller parts, so that a scribe could rent and copy a part of the text while other scribes had others. This greatly increased the speed at which a manuscript like this could be disseminated, and likely accounts for why enough of them were created that some still exist, including one right here in Illinois, some 4,000 miles and 750 years away from the men who made it.